Okay, so we're diving into some really interesting stuff today. The real-world impact of AI and robotics based on this set of materials you sent over.
Yeah, some really fascinating stuff in there.
It feels like every day there's a new headline about how AI or robots are changing the world. So I think our mission here is to kind of cut through the hype and look at the tangible ways these technologies are already being used.
I agree, and I think your sources do a great job of highlighting that it's not just about some far off future this is happening now. In fields like healthcare manufacturing, even things like farming and retail,
And space exploration.
or even space exploration, so we've got a lot of ground to cover.
Absolutely. But maybe just to level set for our listeners, could you give us a super quick definition of AI and robotics? What are we actually talking about here?
Sure, so in simple terms, AI is about giving computers the ability to learn and solve problems kind of like we do.
Makes sense.
While robotics is focused on building physical machines that can carry out tasks, and often those machines are guided by AI.
Okay, so like a robot arm in a factory that's being controlled by an AI system that's learned how to weld or something.
That's a perfect example.
Cool. Okay, so let's jump into some specific examples. And I think a good place to start might be healthcare, because that's something that obviously affects everyone.
Definitely. And one of the things that really jumped out at me from your sources was the advancements in AI-powered robotic surgery.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. It's pretty mind-blowing.
It really is. These robotic systems can assist surgeons with incredibly precise movements during complex operations.
So it's not like the robot is doing the surgery on its own. The surgeon is still in control.
Right. It's more like the robot is an extension of the surgeon's hands, giving them a level of dexterity and control that would be impossible for a human alone.
Wow. And what are the benefits of that? And why is that so important?
Well, for one thing, it can mean smaller incisions, less bleeding, and faster recovery times for patients.
So less trauma overall.
Exactly. And because the robot can make such precise movements, it also opens up possibilities for performing surgeries that might have been too risky or even impossible before.
That's incredible. And it's not just surgery, right? I feel like AI is being used in other areas of healthcare too.
Absolutely. Another area your sources highlighted was patient monitoring.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, AI algorithms can continuously analyze data from patients, like their heart rate, blood pressure, things like that.
Looking for patterns, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And by looking for subtle changes in those patterns, the AI can potentially detect early warning signs of a problem, like an infection or even a heart attack.
So it's like having a 24/7 doctor constantly checking your vitals.
In a way, yes, it's about being proactive and catching things early on, which can be crucial for effective treatment.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've talked about healthcare, but AI and robotics are also having a huge impact on manufacturing.
Absolutely. It's one of the areas where these technologies are already having a profound effect.
And it's easy to see why. I mean, when you think about repetitive tasks on an assembly line, robots seem like a natural fit.
Right. They can work tirelessly without getting tired or making mistakes, and they can handle tasks that would be dangerous or difficult for humans.
So it's about efficiency and safety.
Exactly. But it goes beyond that. One of the things your sources touched on was the use of machine vision in quality control.
Ah, yes, those AI systems that can actually see.
Right, and they can see things that humans can't. They can spot tiny defects in products that would be invisible to the naked eye.
So it's like having a super inspector on the line.
Exactly, and that's leading to higher quality products and fewer defects, which is good for everyone.
Okay, so from building cars to growing food, because smart farming is another area where AI and robotics are making a difference.
Absolutely. Several of your sources talked about the use of autonomous tractors in agriculture.
So tractors that can drive themselves.
Yeah, basically they use GPS and sensors to navigate fields and perform tasks like planting and harvesting.
And that's more efficient than a human driver.
In many ways, yes, it frees up farmers to focus on other tasks, and because the tractors can operate around the clock, it can potentially increase yields.
Interesting. And what about AI's role in pest control? Read something about that too.
Yeah, that's another really promising area. AI systems can analyze images of crops to identify signs of pests or diseases.
So it's like having an AI scout out in the field.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
because it can pinpoint exactly where the problem is, it allows for much more targeted use of pesticides.
Which is good for the environment, obviously.
Right. It reduces the amount of chemicals being sprayed, and that's something that a lot of farmers are interested in.
Okay, so we've talked about healthcare manufacturing, farming, and I feel like we can't ignore retail and warehousing because that's a huge part of our economy.
Absolutely. And it's an area that's being transformed by AI and robotics in a big way.
Well, I mean, we all see the headlines about cashierless stores and delivery robots.
Right, those are some of the more visible changes, but there's a lot happening behind the scenes too, like with inventory management.
Okay, so how's AI being used there?
Well, AI-powered systems can track inventory in real time, predict demand, and optimize warehouse layouts for faster order fulfillment.
So it's about getting things from point A to point B as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Exactly, and that's good for businesses and consumers alike.
And then, of course, there are those delivery robots that are starting to pop up.
Right, they're still in the early stages, but they have the potential to revolutionize last-mile delivery, especially in urban areas.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here: healthcare, manufacturing, farming, retail. But there's one more area I want to touch on, and that's transportation.
Yeah, transportation is undergoing a massive shift thanks to AI and robotics.
And the most obvious example of that is self-driving cars, right?
Definitely, the advancements in self-driving technology are largely driven by AI systems that can process massive amounts of data from sensors.
So the AI is the brains of the car, basically.
Yeah, it's making decisions about steering, braking, accelerating, all based on its understanding of the environment.
And that's a really complex problem to solve. I mean, there's so many variables on the road.
It is incredibly complex, but the progress being made is remarkable. And self-driving cars have the potential to make our roads safer, reduce traffic congestion, and even change the way we think about car ownership.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing stuff, but it's not just cars, right?
Yeah.
AI is being used in other areas of transportation too.
Absolutely. Things like traffic management, optimizing routes for delivery trucks, even predicting maintenance needs for airplanes.
So it's about making the entire transportation system smarter and more efficient.
Exactly. And that's good for everyone, from commuters to businesses to the environment.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the positive applications of AI and robotics, but I think it's important to acknowledge that there are also some concerns, particularly when it comes to defense and security.
You're right. Some of your sources touched on this, and it's definitely a complex and sensitive topic.
Well, I mean, we've all seen the headlines about AI-powered drones and robotic soldiers. It can feel kind of unsettling.
I understand that, and it's important to have open and honest discussions about the ethical implications of these technologies.
Exactly. We need to make sure that we're using them responsibly and for the right reasons.
Absolutely, and that's something that governments, policymakers, and researchers are all grappling with right now.
Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something a little more uplifting: space exploration.
No, that's an area where AI and robotics are truly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And it's been happening for a while, right? I mean, we've had rovers on Mars for decades.
We have, but the rovers of today are far more sophisticated than their predecessors.
So what's changed?
Well, for one thing, they're much more autonomous thanks to AI. They can navigate complex terrain, make decisions about where to go and what to do with minimal human intervention.
So they're like little robotic explorers.
Exactly. And they're able to gather incredibly valuable data about other planets and moons, which helps us understand our place in the universe.
And it's not just rovers, right? I read about how robotic arms are being used on spacecraft and the International Space Station.
Yeah, those arms are essential for things like assembling structures, conducting experiments, and even repairing damage.
So it's like having a handyman in space.
In a way, yes, and AI is even being used to help with the complexities of deep space navigation.
Wow. So it's clear that AI and robotics are playing a huge role in our efforts to explore the cosmos.
Absolutely. They're allowing us to do things that would have been unimaginable just a few decades ago.
It's really inspiring stuff. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from healthcare to space exploration, and it's clear that AI and robotics are having a profound impact on our world.
I completely agree, and I think your sources did a great job of highlighting the breadth and depth of these advancements.
But it's not just about the specific applications, right? There are also some broader societal implications to consider.
Definitely one of the things your sources touched on was the potential impact on the future of work.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, as more tasks become automated, what happens to the people who used to do those jobs?
It's a valid concern, and it's something that we need to be thinking about carefully as a society.
Exactly. We need to make sure that everyone benefits from these technological advances, not just a select few.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of smart people working on solutions to these challenges, things like retraining programs and new economic models.
It's definitely a conversation that we need to keep having.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's fair to say that AI and robotics have the potential to make our world a better place.
I agree. They offer solutions to some of our most pressing problems, from climate change to disease to resource scarcity.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure.
It really is, and I think the next decade is going to be even more transformative than the last.
Well, on that note, I think we should wrap things up. But before we do, I have a final thought for our listeners.
I'm all ears.
We've talked about so many different fields that are being impacted by AI and robotics, healthcare, manufacturing, farming, retail, transportation, defense, space exploration, the list goes on. But if you had to pick one area that you think will experience the most profound transformation in the next decade, what would it be?
That's a tough one. They're all moving so fast, but I have to say.
Well, we'll let our listeners ponder that one. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure, as always.
Thanks for watching FutureBond's AI Humans. What's next? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more AI insights. See you in the next episode.